I used to think emotional abuse was something that happened to other people, weak people, not someone like me, not someone who thought he had everything under control. But then I met Lydia, and she broke me piece by piece, using nothing but a soft voice and perfectly placed, "I just need you" moments. I'm Daniel, 29, and until a few months ago I thought emotional abuse was something you'd only see in dramatic TikTok videos or those long Reddit threads about toxic relationships. I never imagined I'd be the guy writing one, but here I am. And it all started with a sentence that sounded innocent at first, almost sweet, until it became a chain wrapped around my life. "Daniel, you're the only one who gets me." Her name was Lydia, 26, beautiful, soft-spoken, the kind of woman who made you feel like you were the most important person in the room simply by looking at you. She had that type of focus that made everyone else fade out in your peripheral vision. When she laughed, people turned their heads. When she talked, they leaned in. And somehow she chose me. We met at a friend's birthday party. I was the quiet guy holding a soda in the corner, trying not to look as out of place as I felt. Lydia was the radiant center of attention, telling some story about her boss, everyone around her hanging on every word. At some point, I must have looked at her a second too long, because our eyes met. She smiled. Not a big smile, just a small, knowing curl of her lips, and excused herself from the group. She walked straight toward me. "You look like someone who listens," she said, tilting her head. I laughed awkwardly. "Is that a good thing or a bad thing?" "It's rare," she replied. "Most guys want to be heard. You look like you actually hear." I wish I had known then that this wasn't a compliment. It was an assessment, a test, a calculation, because from that day forward, I wasn't just her boyfriend. I was her therapist, her emotional backup battery, her emergency hotline, her 24/7 reassurance machine. And she was my addiction. The honeymoon that wasn't. The first few weeks felt like a movie. Good morning texts, late night calls, long voice messages about her childhood, her dreams, her fears. She told me things she never told anyone before. How her parents used to fight, how her first boyfriend cheated, how she felt broken. Every time she shared a new wound, I felt honored, chosen, trusted. "Daniel," she would say softly, "I've never felt this safe with someone." I mistook trauma dumping for intimacy. I mistook her needing me for loving me. If I look back now, the first red flag was right there. I just didn't want to see it. Red flag number 1. It looked like romance. Lydia would call me at 1 a.m. to talk about her anxiety. Not real anxiety, she actually told me that herself later, but the anxiety she got from not being the center of someone's universe for more than 15 minutes. Whenever she felt lonely, she'd call. Whenever she felt stressed, she'd call. Whenever she fought with her mother, her boss, her roommate, her nail tech, her cat. "I'm not kidding," she called, and I always picked up. Every single time. "Daniel, can you come over? I just don't want to be alone," she'd whisper in that small, fragile voice. And like an idiot, I'd drive across town at 2 a.m. just to sit on her couch while she scrolled through Instagram and barely looked at me. Sometimes she'd talk. Sometimes she'd just sit in silence while I watched her breathe. Then, when she was finally done spiraling, she'd lean her head on my shoulder, sigh softly, and whisper, "You're the only one who makes me feel safe." What she meant was, "You're the only one who will show up no matter how terribly I treat you." Red flag number 2. It looked like vulnerability. One night, about 3 months in, we were lying on her bed. She had her head on my chest, tracing circles on my shirt with her finger. Out of nowhere, she said, "Sometimes I think I have trouble trusting because everyone eventually leaves me." I swear to God, I took that sentence like a sacred vow. I wrapped my arms around her tighter. "I'm not going anywhere," I told her. "I'm not like everyone else." She smiled, but it wasn't a happy smile. It was small, twisted, satisfied. "I hope you mean that," she whispered, "because if you ever left, I don't know what I'd do." I thought she was telling me her deepest truth. What she was really doing was planting a command. Never leave me even when I leave you. From that moment on, any time I gently confronted her about anything at all, she'd softly say, It's fine. You're going to leave me like everyone else does anyway. Instant guilt bomb. Every damn time. Had a boundary? I was attacking her. Expressed a feeling? I was starting a fight. Didn't answer my phone while I was at work? I was abandoning her. And every time I ended up apologizing. For things I didn't do. For things she did. For things neither of us did. My friends saw it before I did. My best friend Erin didn't like her from the start. She talks about herself a lot, he said after meeting her twice. She's just opening up, I replied. She's been hurt. Yeah, he said carefully. But have you noticed she never asks you anything? I know more about your day than she does, and we only talk once a week. I brushed it off. He didn't see the side of her that I saw. The late night, I can't sleep, can you stay on the phone? Calls. You're the only one who gets me voice messages. The way she'd look at me with tears in her eyes and say, please don't give up on me, felt like a mission, like my love could fix everything. Except it wasn't love. It was obligation dressed as love. And I was too deep in to notice. Red flag number 3. Enter Nathan, the coworker. Nathan was everything I wasn't. Loud, confident, gym-built. The kind of guy who posted videos in his car talking about alpha mindsets and hustle culture. Lydia started mentioning him casually. Nathan said something so funny today. Nathan took us out for drinks after work. Nathan thinks I should start my own brand. First, I tried to ignore it. I told myself I was just being insecure. I even laughed along sometimes. But slowly, things shifted. She stopped calling me every night. Stopped texting me throughout the day. Stopped sending those I miss you selfies. If I messaged first, she replied with short answers. Busy. Can't talk with coworkers. Later. Later rarely came. When I finally gathered the courage to ask if something was going on, she laughed. Genuinely laughed and said, oh my God, Daniel, don't be jealous. You know you're the only one I trust. Nathan is just fun. Fun. That word sat in my stomach like a stone. For weeks, I had a sinking feeling I couldn't shake. But I stayed. Because I thought she needed me. Because she'd conditioned me to believe that walking away would break her in half. What I didn't realize was, she needed me only when the fun people were busy. The night that broke everything open. It was a Saturday. We hadn't made plans. She said she had a work event she couldn't get out of. So I assumed she was busy. Still, I expected maybe a text. A meme. This is boring, save me. Nothing. By 5 p.m., I checked my phone more times than I'd like to admit. By 9 p.m., I felt that familiar knot in my chest. I typed, hope you're having fun, red heart, and deleted it 3 times before finally sending it. No reply. By 11 p.m., I had convinced myself I was overreacting. She'd text back tomorrow. She was probably tired. Maybe her phone died. At 11:47 p.m., my phone buzzed. Can you come over? No, hey. No explanation. Just the command. Old Daniel would have grabbed his keys without thinking. This version of me, slightly more exhausted, slightly less blind, hesitated. My thumb hovered over the keyboard. Then another message. Please. I stared at the screen. I knew what please meant. It meant meltdown. It meant tears. It meant, come fix me, Daniel. And despite every part of me knowing I shouldn't, I went. The shoes by the door. She opened the door with red eyes and mascara smeared down her cheeks. Hair in a messy bun. Oversized hoodie. Bare feet on the hardwood floor. Daniel, I need you, she whispered. My heart squeezed. Old habits are hard to kill. I stepped inside, already reaching out to hug her. And that's when I saw them. Another pair of shoes by the door. Men's shoes. Nathan's shoes. I froze. 100 rationalizations flashed through my head at once. Maybe they're her roommate's boyfriends. Maybe they're from earlier and he left. Maybe, don't look at those, she said quickly, following my gaze. Just, come here, please. She collapsed onto the couch dramatically, hiding her face in her hands. He left, she whispered. I stood there, knees locked, heart pounding. Not because she cheated, technically we weren't officially exclusive. That was her rule. She didn't like labels. No, I froze because suddenly everything clicked. I wasn't here because she loved me. I wasn't here because she valued me. I wasn't here because I mattered. I was here because Nathan wasn't. I was Plan B, the emotional trash can, the fallback therapist, the person she reached for when the more exciting option didn't pick up. She cried for 2 hours. I sat there listening like I always did, about how unfair Nathan was, how men always leave, how she should have known better than to trust. Not once did she ask how I was. Not once did she ask why my replies had gotten shorter. Not once did she ask if I was okay watching her fall apart over another man. Because it didn't occur to her to ask. Promise you won't leave me. When she finally ran out of tears, she curled into my side on the couch, clutching my shirt. Promise you won't leave me, she whispered. Normally, this is where I'd say it. I promise. I'm not going anywhere. I'll always be here. But I didn't. I looked at her. Really looked at her. At the woman who only loved me when she had nothing better to do. At the woman who drained me emotionally, day after day. At the woman who never once asked me how I felt. At the woman who treated affection like currency and guilt like handcuffs. And I heard myself say, I can't promise you that. Her head snapped up. What? I can't promise that I'll stay in a relationship where I'm only needed when someone else hurts you. She stared at me like I'd spoken another language. Then the real Lydia appeared, not the trembling, vulnerable version, but the cold, sharp, calculating one. So you're abandoning me? She said flatly. No, I said softly. I'm choosing me. She scoffed. You're just like everyone else. You pretend to care until things get hard. I actually laughed. Quietly. Not because it was funny, but because of how familiar the script sounded. No, Lydia, I whispered. I cared so much I forgot to care about myself. She glared, eyes blazing. You're going to regret this. But the truth? I already regretted staying as long as I did. The quiet breakup. There was no dramatic public scene. No screaming argument. No slamming doors. The breakup was anticlimactic. I went home that night and turned my phone off for the first time in months. The next morning, I turned it back on to a wall of messages. I can't believe you just left. I knew you'd be like everyone else. Do you even care what you've done to me? You're a monster. I read them all. Then I typed one single reply. I'm done being your emergency contact. Take care of yourself. And I muted the conversation. She didn't chase me after that. She didn't apologize. She didn't fight for me. She just went back to Nathan. Within 48 hours, she posted a picture with him. Found someone who finally treats me right, red heart sparkles. A few months ago, that would have destroyed me. This time, I stared at it, blinked once, and laughed. Not because it was funny, but because I finally understood. It was never about love. It was about control, tension, validation. I was never her partner. I was her emotional spare tire. And the thing about spare tires is, you only notice them when the real one goes flat. The twist. 2 weeks later, she called me. Not texted. Not a DM. An actual phone call. I watched the screen light up with her name. Decline. 30 seconds later, again. Decline. Third time. I'll admit, my heart sped up. Old conditioning is powerful. I wanted to pick up, fix, soothe. But I didn't. Then a notification popped up. New voicemail. I sat there for a full minute before hitting play. Her voice came through shaky, frantic. Daniel. Nathan blocked me. I don't know what to do. I'm freaking out. I can't breathe. I need you. You always know how to calm me down. Please call me back. Please. I listened to the whole thing in silence. Then I pressed delete. Because for the first time since I met her, I didn't feel responsible for her emotions, for her chaos, for her pain. She didn't lose a boyfriend. She lost a hostage. And I finally walked out of the cage she built around me with sweet words, soft tones, and emotional traps disguised as love. Aftermath. The crazy part? Life got quiet. Not boring quiet, peaceful quiet. I slept 8 hours without waking up to check my phone. I went days without feeling like I needed to be on call. I noticed how loud the silence had been when I was with her. The silence of my needs never being met, my feelings never being asked about. Erin came over one evening with a six-pack and said, "So, how's freedom?" I shrugged, but I was smiling. Honestly? Weird. I keep expecting my phone to explode. He raised his bottle. To do not disturb. We clinked. Later that night, he said something that stuck with me. "You know what the difference is now? When your phone buzzes, you're curious. Before, you looked like you were bracing for impact." He was right. The lesson. I've learned something important through all of this. Some people don't want love. They want access to your time, your energy, your empathy, your stability. They want the benefits of you without the responsibility of you. They want to know they can call at 2 a.m. and you'll come running, while they keep chasing excitement with someone else. They don't see you as a person. They see you as infrastructure. And the moment you stop functioning as their personal power grid, they call it betrayal. But it's not betrayal. It's self-respect. Now, I sleep peacefully. I laugh more. I breathe easier. I don't jump when my phone lights up. I don't feel guilty for not answering immediately. I don't feel like someone's emotional life support machine. If Lydia ever calls again, I probably won't know. Her contact is gone. Her messages are gone. The version of me that tolerated all of that is gone too. She didn't lose the only person who understood her. She lost the only person willing to let her treat love like a one-way street. And I finally stepped off that road. For the first time in a long time, I'm not just surviving someone else's storm. I'm walking in my own weather, and it feels like sunshine.